Welcome in, everybody, to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. It's me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and this is BP NFL. It's time to look ahead to the props for Week 11. I am back from vacation. I missed this show last week, so I did not get to hang out with Welsh and Erickson for the props. They were left to their own devices. And you know what happens when Dad's not around? Crazy things like Jalen Waddle, ladder bets, and boys, I left you pizza money, and you burned it all on Jalen Waddle, and you went hungry. And on Monday, I was texting with you both, and it looked like things were going well for your Jalen Waddle. And I said, look at this. This number's up to 95.5. And your excitement led me to bet that under. And I just want to thank you guys for that. It was a nice return from vacation. Are you guys back from the Jalen Waddle?
Biggest hater on the planet. I would like to point out, we did not go hungry. We hit the two most important legs that you've got to hit if you're going to do a ladder. You got to hit the core bet, which we did in like the second catch and actually the next ladder. Yeah. It just, here's the problem. I had 4 more versions of the ladder to go, and we needed like 3 yards, and it all happened on the first drive.
Step ladder, Welsh, right?
That's what I said. It's a step. The logic, phenomenal. Can't even be bad. You got to walk away from it and just chop it up to the game. Like, okay, logic was perfect. He hit 2 legs of a ladder on the first drive of a game. Hat tip to Erickson for doing it. I went all in, and I'm going to give you a tease right now. On this show, at the end, we're going back to the ladder. I am presenting us a ladder bet for Week 11 that we are going to ride, and you're going to love it. And Erickson, you're coming with me. You're coming with me.
I don't know. I think I might have vertigo, Erickson. How about you?
Yeah, and I think I've had my fare of ladder bets so far this year. I mean, look, basically since like last year, the Achan thing, everyone that I've done.
Well, the funny thing is, the only one I've got this year was another Achan one that hit.
Again, we made money because that's why you go in on the first on the. I'm talking about the Jalen Waddle one. We still made money, just not as much. So I didn't get to have lobster mac and cheese on Monday night. That was unfortunate, but.
Okay. Regular mac and cut cheese. Some hot dogs and put it in the mac and
cheese. There you go. Hot dogs and mac and cheese. Also, at the end of the show, I want to talk about the Mike Tyson fight because it's fun. I want to talk about it. So let's get to the props for NFL, and then we'll have a little fun at the end of the show here. Before we do, just a quick reminder, don't forget, we're using the prop bet cheat sheet here for a lot of these props when you're searching. I mean, look, this is what I go through when I'm betting my props, when I'm putting together the show plans, when I'm putting together TV plans. I'm looking at the prop bet cheat sheet, so you should be checking it out too. Go to bettingpros.com/props. That's where you go and get this, and it's free. You can look at it, check it out. You could see the overs, the unders, the best places to bet them. It is perfect. I mean, the word cheat sheet is there for a reason because it takes all the guesswork out of it. So one of the many amazing tools at the suite of Betting Pros is the prop bet cheat sheet. So I encourage you to use it. Go to bettingpros.com/props or just download the app. Check it out for yourself. Welsh, let's start with you. You are in on a game that I am very much in on too, which is the Pittsburgh Steelers from a prop standpoint. The game itself still kind of scares me. I've got a lot invested in some big money parlays that I want the Ravens very much to win and very much to win that division. Because if they do, Joey P is going to be a rich man at the end of the year. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, from a prop standpoint, I am going after. And I want to start with this because you and I see this the same. Let's start with Russell Wilson. The number is 225.5. And baby, I like the over, and I think so do you.
Yep, that's actually, I believe, Erickson, you had the under on this last week. So this is an opposite play, and I think now we can kind of move and build forward that Russell Wilson is slanging the ball. He has hit this prop number of 225 over passing yards in 2 of the last 3 weeks. By the way, the one that he did not hit was because he only completed 14 passes. So why do I like this even more? Ravens is a tough defense, except not against the pass. Ravens are giving up the most passing yards overall on the year. The Ravens. Yes, because you can't run in them. There's obviously Arthur Smith, the Steelers are going to want to try to run and establish a run, but where you do the damage is in the air. And Russell Wilson has been doing it in the air. It's going to take us to a George Pickens number here in just a little bit. Projections really like this number as well. You can find it across different places. I cross-reference Betting Pros always, and then I usually like to look at like PFF. We're over 235, so we've got around a 10 passing yard swing on projections in favor of it. But again, he's been hitting this. They've been slinging the ball, and this is a great matchup where the Ravens are just very susceptible, giving up the most passing yards in the NFL right now. So give me Russell Wilson over passing yards. I'd probably play this still up to 235, but I got it at 225. So Russ Wills, let's go.
All right, let's go to the New Orleans Saints. They are at home against the Cleveland Browns, coming off a bye. Andrew, we've talked a lot about this game all week. Look, I'll be honest with you. Like, the MVS line is the one that I'm looking at, 31.5 receiving yards. I think that's pretty good. I don't like the juice on it. It's a little heavy right now. It's minus 135 in a lot of spots. But at the same time, you see another out here potentially with somebody else on the Saints. Let's talk about Taysom Hill.
Yeah, Taysom Hill has taken on a larger role as a receiver with all of the injuries to the Saints' main wide receivers. Even before MVS stepped up last week, he's gone over 21 receiving yards in 3 straight games. This line is at 16.5. And it really should be a larger line because Taysom Hill had an 88-yard touchdown called back due to a penalty last week. So you're getting a lot of value, I think, on this line because if that play holds, then you're looking at this number probably closer to 25, 30 receiving yards because of how much that would impact his receiving yards per game average. So, I mean, he can do this on the first drive or he can do this on the last drive. So this bet is live the entire game between the Saints and the Browns, and I think it's going to go over. So again, this Taysom Hill has a great role in this offense. He's running more routes. He's involved in the passing game. So I like the over on a just very, very low number here.
Yeah, look, the Cleveland Browns have a lot of communication problems in their secondary. And there's a lot of opportunity here to take some shots here with Hill or with MVS in this one. And 16.5 is a pretty low number there. Let's go back to the Pittsburgh Steelers again. Welsh, you've got another bet that's an over, but I actually have one too that I want to throw out there as an under, which is the Najee Harris number. I just want to throw this out there because, again, you mentioned the defense of the Baltimore Ravens, obviously struggling mightily against the pass. You want to throw on them all day long, which means that combination of want and the combination of that front for them is tough in terms of rushing equity. 50.5 is the number for Najee Harris. I want to go under that. It's kind of a skin of our teeth number, but I think it's going to be a little ugly, and he's also not 100%. But there is a guy, too, that I like for the over. It's the same one you do. If we like the over for Russell Wilson, then we got to like the over for Pickens, right?
Yeah, and that's where I'm going with George Pickens. So back to that, really the baseline of everything here is per game, most passing yards, Ravens. Boom. That's kind of our overall baseline. Now, something that we've done a lot on this show, and I know you could maybe push back on me a little bit against it, is like to go yards most of the time, yards on wide receivers. But Pickens' yard number, it's actually pretty big this week. It's still in play because of the Ravens secondary, but it's a bigger number. What isn't is the receptions. The receptions, which I like to do more than you guys, are at 4.5. Well, guess what? 6 straight weeks, the number one wide receiver against Baltimore has had 6 or more receptions. 6 straight weeks. So that number one wideout is getting that coverage. We've seen Pickens is obviously the deeper play guy. They're still going to play him under. Pickens is in a great spot for this. We've seen, I forgot to pull this, but I want to say it was like 2 of the last 3 or 3 of the last 5. We've seen Pickens put up over 5 receptions. Pickens is in a great spot. Projections have got him over 5 receptions here. I expect the Steelers to also be playing from behind, and that all leads to just a great spot for Pickens to not only be the main beneficiary of Russell Wilson, but as I said, number one wide receivers going up against Baltimore. They eat. Also, really great PFF wide receiver cornerback matchup this week. So Pickens receptions 4.5. I like better than the really like high 60s yard total for George Pickens.
Yeah, the yard total is 70.5, but he's crossed that threshold 3 weeks in a row.
I like the yards.
I know. You guys hate my receptions. Play them all. You know what?
Sorry.
Play them all. Receptions and yards.
I mean, yeah, because again, if he has a monster game, he's going to go over both. It doesn't really matter. But like when I think about Pickens, I think contested catch receiver, he goes up and gets the ball. So I feel like he could catch 3 passes and go for 70 yards. So that's the only way I guess I would be. I don't know. I think I like the yards. I feel like when you like the player, you bet the yards. When your player is good. When it's a player that you don't have a ton of confidence in, as like, is this guy just a volume guy? Then you bet the reception. So again, this may not matter at all because I think every time on the show we bring this up, I don't think it actually has mattered. It's either been like way under for both.
I don't think so either.
Or way over for both. But hey, we'll see on Sunday.
Oh,
we'll see.
And the only thing I would throw. And the only thing I just throw in with this as well, the receiving yard total was also something that made me feel more comfortable about the receptions. Pickens is averaging 16 yards per catch. So if he were to catch 4 balls, that would get him under the 70 marker. The projected yards are over. He'd be 64 yards based on that. 4.5 feels fantastic based on what he does in general and that coverage. So you can play the yards. I'm down with it. But the yards to me are also telling the story of why the receptions work really great for Pickens. But again, We want that passing game
is
of the
the
Pittsburgh Steelers.
payout the same on both, or is one less money?
I think they're both like minus 110.
I've got it right here for you.
Right.
And it's funny you mentioned that, Erickson. If you go for right now, if you go to, let's say 65.5, you're getting heavy juice here, minus 130 at places like BetMGM. If you push that number to 69.5 on DraftKings, you're getting minus 115. So I would push that perfectly fine. I'm fine with that. Again, 70.5 is the mean number. He went for 91 last week, the week before 74, the week before that 111. So
he's averaging 90 receiving yards per game with Russ.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So to me, this is easy. Just go get the highest number, go take the over, and get the less juice. Period. End of story. Easy peasy. And for the ones where you're looking for receptions, but you're worried about yardage, guys like, Pop Douglas will catch, 7 balls for 30 yards. That's a little problem. But speaking of Patriots, Erickson, you've got a prop on a Patriot right now that you want to talk about for week 11. Who is it?
Man, I'm going to be eating my words talking about taking receiving yard overs on players that we have confidence in. I'm going to the Boutte, Kayshon Boutte for the New England Patriots. So I don't know how many times his line has actually been live to bet, but we have his receiving yards prop at 32.5 yards. And he's kind of been the wide receiver 1 in the Patriots offense over the last 3 weeks in terms of usage. He's running the most routes. And when you look at his yardage numbers, last 6 games, he's gone over this number in 5 of them. And the only game that he didn't go over was against the Tennessee Titans, who are the number 1 defense in passing yards allowed per game, the fewest. So in that game, he still had 6 targets. He still had opportunities to get over 32.5 receiving yards. He is the deep threat for the New England Patriots. We know that the Rams are a bad defense in terms of their secondary. We know Drake May is going to drop him back to throw the ball downfield. And who has that guy been? Kayshon Boutte. He has over 320 air yards in his last 3 games, which is 6th most among all players. It's funny, if you look at the total air yards that Kayshon Boutte has had, you know who's jammed in between him? Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. LSU, baby. Kayshon Boutte.
There
Rams,
you go.
30th in yards per attempt allowed this season. Look, Jalen Waddle got there last week. So I'm going back against the Rams. Kayshon Boutte over 32.5 receiving yards. I don't think he actually had a receptions prop. I think it was like 2.5. So that's also why I'm going towards the yards.
He does now. It's 2.5 the receptions. That's where it is right now. But to your point, Erickson, you can actually get this at 31.5. And if you think that 1 yard doesn't matter, I was 11-3 last week. I was 11-3. One of the ones I missed was 3 stinking yards on Sam Darnold. If he would have just stopped throwing interceptions for 2 minutes, I would have had that one too. And it sticks in my craw.
By the way,
yeah, every single yard matters. And right now I'm looking on FanDuel is 31.5. Everyone else is 32.5, even 34.5 at ESPN Bet.
You want to talk about every yard matters. Something we did not open this show about, and we should have, was the amount of people that got screwed in the Thursday night game by that kneel down. I don't know if you saw, we had our boy Mike Mayer had a giant parlay that was hit, and he lost it by the kneel down by 1 yard because the public line on the rushing yards. I know you had 38.5 on the Thursday show, so you got to cash that win and it didn't matter. But the public line before the game was 40 or 41.5 on the rushing yards, and he kneels it down if you had the 40 under 39 and destroyed. Those yards absolutely matter at all times for sure.
And if Mike Mayer was smart, he would have been watching the Thursday night show that we do here, Boggin and myself, because again, same game parlay right here. Hit it again. 3 spot for you. Barkley on the over, Hurts on the over, Hurts anytime touchdown. Ooh, and by the way, Welsh, I love it because I already got my Hurts touchdown for out of bounds. That's already done. That's 3 weeks in a row. So I am on fire. I just keep rolling Jalen Hurts. Just betting it all, letting it ride every single week. And I actually think something you should pay attention to, that MVP number has gone from plus 2,000 to plus 1,600 overnight. I would watch this very carefully because statistically speaking, that Eagles defense has played better than anybody in the last 4 weeks. And you've also got a situation here where Jalen Hurts, maybe if there's depending on how this Bills game goes and depending how this game between the Steelers and Ravens go for Lamar and then Allen and Mahomes, you could see all of a sudden Jalen Hurts kind of nudge his way in there. It's something to monitor, something to watch right now.
Not betting against Lamar, but I get your point.
Isn't Saquon Barkley the best player on the Eagles offense though? I think he is.
Yes, but it doesn't matter.
How can Hurts win MVP then?
But it's the same narrative of Derrick Henry's carrying them, Saquon Barkley's carrying him, but those guys are not up for the award. They're up for Offensive Player of the Year. End of story. And by the way, like that's still tight between him and Barkley right now. Between Henry and Barkley. All right, let's go back to you, Welsh. Let's go to Denver, where there might be a new running back in town. People are very excited, but maybe just maybe
Welsh
they're getting too excited.
Welsh hates this guy.
Wait. Mr. Oh, wait, what my nickname was it? Is it the over? That's my new nickname, by the way. Is it the over? Not on this one. Welsh is digging into an under. Audric Estime under rushing yards, because no, I'm not going to do that. Here, okay,
I got the Javonte last week. I had the Javonte 31.5 under. That was.
I'll take this one. Here's a stat for you. Here's a real big analytical stat. Estime's never hit this ever. Even last week in this awesome game that he had, the yard total is 57.5.
But Welsh, in all fairness, that was a tough matchup there for him.
It was a tough matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs. You're right. He had 14
the second
attempts.
or third best team against the run all year.
And you want to know what they said after the game? This is what they said after the game, by the way, when they asked about Audric Estime. Oh, he's getting all these carries, first time over 10 carries. And they said, yeah, we played the hot hand approach. The guy that was successful is the guy that we were going to run out, but they still completely believe in Javonte. Stupidly. They still completely believe in McLaughlin. Dumb. They want all three of these backs to go, but they played the successful hot hand. I might be wrong about this. That's fine. Number one waiver wire. Ooh, Estime is going to save my fantasy season. He's not going to save my betting season. For a guy that has never hit this, it's in a 3-back system with the Broncos, by the way, with a quarterback that likes to run. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing that. I think this is a wildly big number for Estime when he has not even been anointed a workhorse in this offense. Javonte's still going to get some. And as they proved, if any of those other guys get rolling, they're going to go with them. If they're playing from behind on the Falcons, it's not going to go to Estime. It's going to be more McLaughlin or Javonte Williams. I don't like that number. I think it's way too high. I am taking the under rushing yards on Audric Estime. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But no, absolutely not.
Oh my God.
All right. So now look, you haven't had a under yet, Erickson. Are you going to let Welsh just run away with the only under here today?
No, I am not. Even though the Estime one I think is super polarized. I'm actually looking at the show sheet right now, and I'm looking at what props Welsh has in the early games. And if he goes 3-0, I'm immediately going to bet the over on Estime because I know that he won't go 5-0.
Me and Erickson had this logic, by the way. Just real quick, we were talking. We didn't have like the best early prop, whatever it was, and then we were talking about the software where it was like. I know it's not it's not like science, but like logically, if I went 1 and 3, I'm going to smash my last one. So Erickson hits me up and he goes, Waddle time, because we both were not good. And then Waddle technically did hit. The odds of going 0 and 5 or something like that is bad. So we literally play that as like a fun little extra. So yeah, if I go 3-0, then Estime is for sure going to screw me.
Estime is definitely going to, I mean, I agree. Like the Estime number it's way too big at 57.5, but at the same time, if he does get the work, it is the Falcons. And yeah, like I said, just pay attention to all the picks for Welsh's in the early
projections screw you too, by the way, because I cross-referenced to PFF. You want to know what Estime's projected rushing yard total is this week on there?
65.
14 yards.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
People
it's
can't
coming way under. Yeah.
The projections are really not going to help you in here. So I'm going to just, try to go with what I know. And it's not Denver Broncos running backs. But yeah, sorry, I'm not the only under here.
Oh, I know Erickson likes under. So give me an under, Erickson.
All right. Alexander Mattison under 38.5 rushing yards. I think that we're going to see Mattison potentially not be the lead back for Las Vegas Raiders. When we saw this team play a lot, or last time in week 9, you saw Mattison and Zamir White actually split carries 6 apiece in the first half. Madison's snaps fell to 39%. That was his lowest since week 4. If you just every interview that Antonio Pierce gives, he just brings up Zamir White. Even if they're not talking about, he's always talking about the defense. Oh, wow, Zamir White. We want to get him going. We love Zamir White. And the fact that they got rid of Luke Getsy, there's a new offensive coordinator. Getsy, I think, was a better fit with Alexander Mattison in his scheme. So I think they're going to go back to Zamir White here. And when I look at the matchup, I don't like it against the Dolphins. The Dolphins defense delivered 3 straight unders to the running backs that they have faced over the last 3 weeks. And Mattison has only gone over 38 rushing yards twice this season. And his most recent effort to do it, it took him 23 carries to get to 38 rushing yards. So he has been the king of inefficiency this year. And I think that anyone that has confidence in Mattison, quote unquote, confidence in Madison and fantasy, I think you're going to be wildly pipped potentially here with Zamir White getting the majority of carries. So I'm going to take the under on Alexander Mattison.
Look at that reference.
A Wally Pipp reference. I did not think that was coming.
Can I point something to you real quick, Joe? I just want to point out, within the last 3 days, I have done a woo reference that Erickson did not know, and I did I am the great Cornholio. He did not know, but he just dropped a Wally Pipp reference on us, but did not know the great Cornholio or the great Ric Flair.
That's sad.
What are we doing?
Also sad is that we've heard the whole Zamir White thing all year, and it's week 11, and he hasn't had a game above 50 yards all year. I just want to check that out there. So there's a fact for you, everybody.
I'm not saying he's going to go over his rushing prop, but it's not going to help. It's not going to help Mattison.
No, that's understandable. That's fair. All right, let's go to the next one here, which is Welsh. Back to you for going to the Rams and Patriots. We're going to go back to that game for Puka Nacua. The number is 69.5.
Yes, sir. We're going to ride the Puka Nacua train, as, Deebo would say, the Puka juice. We're all on it. He's hit this in 2 of his last 3 games. Those 2 games that he hit it, by the way, he's had 9 or more targets. Patriots are 11th in passing yards given up per game so far this season, and he's just a major force in the offense. This is a pretty easy one. This is a low total. 69.5 is the number. It actually moved up a yard from when I bet it. It might start ticking up a tiny bit. There was right around it. I love that 10-yard cushion. If I can get a 10-yard cushion between what the number is and where multiple projections are going, it's something that just feeds the target, and that's where it's at. The most projections have got him into the high 70s, so I like this playing into 71, 72 if it went up there, but really like Puka Nacua. They're going to throw the ball a decent amount. We know Puka's going to get it. I'm not playing receptions, guys. I'm playing receiving yards, and taking it under 70 is a no-brainer for me with Mr. Puka Nacua.
All right, everybody. So there you go. So the over on Nacua. Let's go to Bijan Robinson for our next prop here. So where are you going, Erickson? You going rushing? You going receiving? How are you going to approach Bijan in week 11?
Yes.
I'm taking the receiving yards over on Bijan Robinson, over 25.5 receiving yards. So Bijan is on a hot streak right now. 4 straight games with at least 28 receiving yards. Denver this season, just last week, they allowed 65 receiving yards to Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt, people, got 65 receiving yards against this defense. The Broncos on the year, top 5 defense in terms of most receptions, targets, and yards led running backs because they like to blitz a lot and they have good corners. So when the receivers aren't open and the ball needs to get out quick, where does it go? To the running back. Kirk Cousins ain't trying to hold the ball back there. He's going to get it out quick off that Achilles and get it to Bijan Robinson. And fun fact for Bijan Robinson, again, 5 consecutive games with at least 100 plus yards from scrimmage, longest active streak in the NFL per NFL Next Gen stats. What other Falcons player has done that in terms of a 6-game streak? Who's the last Falcons player to do it, guys?
So wait, what was the number again?
Yeah, give it to
100 yards from scrimmage, 6 straight games. Who's the last Falcon to do
Jamal Anderson?
Jamal Anderson.
Oh, I went first.
Jamal Anderson.
He doesn't even know who Jamal Anderson is.
He played for the Falcons, Andrew.
Oh my, I can't do this anymore. Ric Flair, Cornholio, and Jamal Anderson walk into a bar?
Okay, hey, you guys ever heard of Julio Jones? Maybe? Yeah.
I was actually going to say Roddy White next, was I was going to go with.
I mean, we didn't need to go that far back. It's Julio Jones.
Well, we're old, so we went back to who was the last really
well, because
big,
I thought it was going to be something where it was really
too.
far back, I mean, where it wasn't Julio Jones, it was somebody else. Julio Jones used to get hurt all the time too, so
that is true. How many times did he actually play 6 games in a row?
that was my logic actually on there. It was actually that. So there you go. Good on it. All right. So anything else to share on Bijan?
No, I just take the over. I like him a lot.
Just take the over. All right, we got one more before we get to the touchdown calls of the week, and get ready, everybody. It's time to make the climb, just like Miley Cyrus. I give you the Welsh for the ladder of the week.
All right, we're going to just get stretched here. We're going to get it out. All right, so the first main bet here, and then we are laddering this player like in Jalen Waddle last week. Deebo Samuel ladder time. The number is 54.5. Projected receiving yards, we got our 10-point cushion. That is exactly what we want. Now, the receiving yard is going to pair with the ladder, and here's what I'm going to give you. One time in his career, Deebo's career versus the Seahawks, he has had under 50 yards in his entire career against the Seahawks. I brought this up earlier in the year, Erickson, if you remember, where I think it was the Cardinals, and I was like, Deebo eats the Cardinals. Deebo eats divisional opponents. He eats the Seahawks. So, in general, getting the targets, we know John Jennings kind of came up. Deebo's going to get the ball in this. He's going to go over the 54.5. Now, pushing this further, 6 of 8 career games, Deebo Samuel has gone over 100 yards against the Seahawks. So in 6 of his total 8 career games, he has gone over 100. He went over 100 this year, I believe, on 3 receptions. He's going to get more involved. He makes huge plays. By the way, 7 of 8 in his career, he has beat this receiving yard total against the Seahawks. Only one time he did not, and that was like in 2019 or something like that. So from a career perspective, he's in. He wasn't as highly involved last week. He's going to get more involved. Brock Purdy throws the ball a bunch. You can do this against the Seahawks. I love just stationary, the Deebo Samuel receiving yard total, but I personally am climbing the ladder with Deebo. How I'm climbing it, I am betting all of the steps. I'm skipping none. I'm going 54.5. Then I'm going to the 60. On DK, it's plus 105. 70s plus 165. 80, 90, and 100, up to 5-1 on the 100 over. And as I said last week, and how I do ladders is the first ladder, you do your unit or a little bit higher. Then you keep paring it down. Once you get into the 70, 80, 90, 100s, get into like half units and quarter units, because you don't want to be 4 unit, 5, 6 unit invested, or really scary. You don't want to bet a unit on every single one of these unless, you know, you like to really play with fire. But I love this because Deebo every few weeks is going to have one of these big explosive plays. We know he can break off 70-yarders. He's the type of guy that can hit 3 or 4 of these ladders in one play. And he's going to get involved, and he kills the Seahawks when he does it. Love Deebo for the receiving yard and the ladder. Erickson, are you coming with me?
Talk to me at 4 o'clock when I've seen the first 3 bets go.
So if I'm 0-3 in the early, you're gonna hit all the steps of the ladder. Okay, so hold on. So Joe, are you coming with me?
No, I just don't trust the San Francisco 49ers. They spread the ball around too much. And CMC's back and all that stuff. Man. So I like the theory. I think, again, the information's really good. If I have a ladder bet this week, and I know it sounds crazy because it's already a high number, I think it's Pickens against the Baltimore Ravens, where it just goes bananas. It goes well over 100. And what I would do is make a small ladder, maybe bigger than the step ladder. It's like one of those, like the little giants, maybe one of those, where I bet 2 units on the first 2 numbers and then 1 and then halves and quarters, you know, if you want to keep going there. But I think he's going to get over 100 personally this week against Baltimore, because everybody does, because Baltimore is terrible in that secondary and they don't seem to have an answer. There's nothing they can do to fix it. Another thing that's really difficult is the Chiefs' run defense, and that pertains to James Cook this week. So, Erickson, I give you the number 57.5. What do you want to do with it for James Cook?
Taking the under on James Cook rushing yards this week. Cook has been very boom or bust in terms of his rushing yard production. So he has 5 games with 70+ rushing yards, but then he also has 4 games with 45 or fewer rushing yards. So given that the Chiefs have allowed just one running back to get to 58 yards against them all season, I think that this is the week where you see the underwhelming James Cook show up in terms of the rushing department. So I'm going to go under on James. This is actually one of my favorite ones. Just I think that the line is, it's not giving too much credit or enough credit to the Chiefs defense and to the fact that James Cook has, in bad matchups, he doesn't hit. And I know that Cook is looked at as, oh, he's this explosive rusher. Well, I mean, that really hasn't been his MO. I mean, they've been running up in between the tackles a lot this year. More obviously kind of using the passing game. So I like the under here with James Cook. And again, back in the Chiefs, think they're going to win. So I'm going to take the under on the Bills running back.
All right, everybody, it's time to get to some touchdowns here and then a little boxing at the end. The touchdown score report is available, by the way, at bettingpros.com/touchdown. So if you're looking for an edge in your touchdown bets, that's the place to do it. Again, bettingpros.com/touchdown. That is the spot for the latest touchdown prop analysis. Use the projections, use the tools, again, over at Betting Pros. Sync your sports books for free and get in there and bet touchdowns this week. You know I'm in on Pickens, so the ladder on Pickens with the touchdown, that's what I want to do. I did not get to the show plan first today. Welsh did, which means he gets to take George Pickens. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the number and who else you like to score in week 11.
Yeah, I am going with George Pickens at plus 135. I believe over the last 4 weeks, if I saw this correctly, the Ravens have given up the most receiving touchdowns. Obviously, we've just kind of played this out where I think Pittsburgh is playing from behind. You can throw against Baltimore. George Pickens is their number 1 option. I think they're also susceptible against tight ends. I don't know if Freiermuth is someone I would want to play, but I think it really works and it's beneficial to George Pickens. And you're getting good plus money. So plus 135 is like a slam for George Pickens. The other one, Anthony Richardson. who's back. Don't love Anthony Richardson, but you're getting plus 215 on an anytime touchdown for him. I do not believe that he's going to be able to rush in a touchdown, but from a matchup perspective, they're giving up the most rushing touchdowns to quarterbacks, I believe, over the last 4 weeks. So Richardson, going to slam it in himself, has not been able to prove to throw. It's not a bad matchup. This will be about what he does, but over 2-1 on Anthony Richardson for an anytime touchdown is a little bit of my deeper play. George Pickens is my favorite play. Those are my 2 touchdown calls.
I'm fascinated to see the Colts and the Jets this week and what those teams look like, because you just don't know. Like, what do the Jets look like after that other just brutal loss for them, where Mike Williams had more points than the whole Jets offense. I love saying, or as many, let me be fair, as many. And he had more touchdowns than the Jets offense. So I guess that's the more fair thing to say. But let's talk about Erickson's here. You've got Jordan Love back, hopefully healthy here. And I think you have a wide receiver from Green Bay that you're excited about.
Yeah, I like Christian Watson. Plus 300 anytime touchdown. Look, he's second on the team in end zone targets. He's actually the team leader in terms of air yards, in terms of targets over the last 2 weeks. So the Packers have one of the highest passing touchdown rates in the NFL. So when they get close to scoring, they usually throw the ball. So I think Christian Watson, again, he's also fully healthy. That's been the problem with Christian Watson, just not confident of his health, if he's there or not. But this Watson / Dontavian Wicks role, whoever is in that role, gets a lot of high value opportunities in this offense. So I think Christian Watson's getting undervalued at plus 300 to be on the receiving end of a Jordan Love touchdown. So I like him. And then my other one is the more wild card, Parker Washington. For those that aren't familiar with Parker Washington, he is the starting slot receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you listen to the Best Bet show, I love the over in that game. I think the Jaguars are going to score a touchdown at some point in that game. And the Lions give up the most fantasy points per game to slot receivers. That's who Parker Washington is in this offense. So even though he had 0 targets last week, you're getting the value on that because it's plus 750 for him to score an anytime touchdown. So even if it comes in the fourth quarter in total garbage time, I think Washington finds the end zone.
All right. So there you go. Parker Washington, Christian Watson. I hope Watson hits because I got to flex him in a couple leagues. All right. For me, I'm sticking with my game of the week here. It's the Chiefs and the Bills. This is always a good time. Lots of points typically. Every time these two teams meet up, it's must-see television. And I'm going to be glued to the couch, 4:25 Eastern time, to watch this one. And I'm also going to have some bets on it. Of course, you already know it's the upset special of the week. You already know all the Chiefs money line wagers, all of the Chiefs parlays, everything that I got going on there. But I also want to bet some touchdowns. I want to take Josh Allen on the other side, plus 140, to go ahead and find a way to get in the end zone, because I believe he will. Especially down some players who aren't really, healthy right now. A lot of health issues going on. Keon Coleman, Amari Cooper, lots of problems here for Buffalo, which means what? Josh Allen takes the ball in his own hands and finds the end zone. You're getting plus money on this too, plus 140. I think it's shocking. Also, in that same game at plus 160, Travis Kelce. Why? Because these guys show up. The gamers show up at go time, as a buddy of mine used to always say. And Travis Kelce with Patrick Mahomes, sometimes everything old is new again. So give me this situation here in this game, all in. Just bet the hell out of this one. That's what you want to do. So that's week 11 in a nutshell. Boys, I know I know I'm watching it. I don't know if Erickson's watching it. I know Welsh is going to watch it. Tyson versus our guy Jake Paul there. So as an older person, I just want Mike Tyson to win. Therefore, I'm going to bet Mike Tyson. The only theory I can give you is somebody who was the grandson of a boxer, somebody who spent 20 years in the world of combat. I will tell you this, from watching these two guys train, the one thing I always see about Jake Paul, a little bit of, just unbalance when he throws punches. He's always off balance. And when you have a fighter with the age and experience of Mike Tyson, that's a very dangerous thing. There's one mistake where you're off balance. Next thing you know, the footwork's not there. Next thing you know, you're on the canvas. That's one thing. I'm hoping for it. I want a Mike Tyson knockout. I'm rooting for it. I don't know if I'm going to get it. Welsh, any thoughts and feelings about the Tyson-Jake Paul fight?
Yeah, as somebody with zero boxing experience whatsoever or any hold in family ties to boxing, but has played lots of Mike Tyson knockout punch. So I do have some experience there.
I saw the meme, by the way, where it's Glass Joe against Mike Tyson. That's very funny.
Of course I want Mike Tyson to win. But he's 60 years old. He's 58, 56, whatever he is. When the fourth round comes, he's going to be gassed. I don't think it's far-fetched to think that there's a storyline built to this, that Tyson knocks Jake Paul down to the ground. Jake gets up, wins 7 of the 10 rounds, but in the 10th round, Mike Tyson bites him or pulls off a finger or does just something crazy, and it's a DQ, and Jake Paul wins by DQ, and it sets up the grand finale of Mike Tyson, Jake Paul 2, because Tyson knocked him down, but Paul won the rounds, and it ended in some dysfunctional thing. There is a chance Mike Tyson can win, but they made the gloves thicker.
Heavier.
They made the rounds shorter. They have less rounds. So what do those things do? The less rounds and the time helps Tyson. The padded gloves help Paul. I don't know how Tyson's going to be able to last 8 rounds of doing this. I don't know how many punches he can get again.
8 rounds is a long time for a 58-year-old
But
guy.
Paul's a bad bet. It's like minus 235.
Erickson,
I'm betting Paul if I do it.
Cares or feelings about this one?
It's probably just going to be underwhelming because this is what always happens. They always hype these fights up all the time, and then what do you know?
Mike Tyson's good television.
It doesn't matter. Of course, yeah, they're going to tell you that beforehand. It gets getting hyped up. It's on Netflix. Oh, it's going to be sick. Like
they're going to dance.
You go
know what
on
they should do
to stream your favorite Christmas movie, and then it's like, oh well, I gotta watch Mike Tyson versus
watch
Jake Paul.
Elf. Yeah. You know what they should do? They should put one of those, those things people wear for steps. They should do that in this, and you should be able to bet how many steps between Tyson and Paul are going to have. Just like, were they going to get 10,000 steps in it? Because they're going to dance around the entire match.
All right. Well, there you have it, everybody. That's week 11 in a nutshell, and we'll see what happens.
Those steps.
We'll recap it next week, I'm sure, here on the show. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on for the Welsh and Andrew Erickson. I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.
Jamal Anderson.